Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV, and hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is presenting pet psychic Aminah. I hope you are loving our new graphics as we welcome in our official launch of USA Global TV channel and network. Pet Psychic Aminah has taught me so much. I even have a new roommate. His name is Bob. He is a spider. He has been here for a week now. He has hardly moved anywhere. I go in and I talk to him like, Bob, it's so good to see that you're in the same place. So she has taught me how to coexist and how to really give space to all the creatures in this world because they all have a purpose. Let's bring her on. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I am so excited with our launch. We had a great show on Monday. It's hard to believe that it was this week, isn't it?
It really is, and you've been working on it so hard. And I love my new background. I love yours. We're just the continuity of everything. And we don't have any rats in my picture, but we can grow.
That's right.
We can grow.
That whole side over there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to put the spiders in. And I love your new Bob. He has to be new, right? This is a new Bob, or is this new Bob?
It's a new Bob. They're all Bob, I guess. But what's kind of interesting?
That's mine.
And you know all about spiders, but so Bob was he started on the floor and he was upside down. He was like above the floor. And then the next day he went all the way up. And now he's still up there, but he's turned around. And I'm not sure what he's doing because he doesn't have there's no food in the web or anything.
Well, yeah, sometimes depending on the type of arachnoid, here's my science self, my big word for the day, they will consume in very different ways. Some just suck the insides and leave the carcass. Some take the whole thing. We're hoping for, clean your plate. So there's not a lot of busy in the web. Every arachnoid will not, will really do it differently. Some use poison, some don't. It just, it's like humans. I don't think there's one blonde that you could say, oh, it's the same. No, mine's much darker. And when I was in the sun playing sports, of course, I got accused of coloring my hair a couple times. I was like, no, it's called sun. And then in the winter, I'd be darker like this. So it just, we'll let Bob be Bob. And mine are all Bob too. I haven't had a Bob in my bathroom in a while, but I miss him.
That's where I got it was from you. And, I have to say the other day, the floodlights outside weren't working and I needed to go into the garage to use the washer and dryer. And in the past, I would have been afraid because it's completely dark and I know there's lizards and iguanas and whatever. And I thought,
yeah, where you are.
Yeah. And I thought, you know what? No, I'm not afraid because they're doing their thing. They don't want to engage with me. They don't want to go in to do the laundry.
From what I understand, we taste terrible. Preservatives, all that crap we're eating. I don't care if you're a vegan or you're eating pest-free or whatever. They're not real thrilled about eating us. And we're not their food source. So they're looking to protect. And just what you said, please be calm. Because really, honestly, you'll lose. Even a bird could peck your eyes out. Let's be graphic here. But they don't have any interest in you except for, wow, there was a big carnivore. I want nothing to do with them. So you go with that calm, as you said, and then they go, oh, she's not so scary. And then coexisting happens. And it's really that magical when you and I understand who we're dealing with. It's the same thing if you're going to walk as a woman a night alone in the dark and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to be safe because you probably hit a big stick in your face you're a pocket or a foghorn or something. Because I don't know, humans are pretty undependable. You just don't know what they'll do. So yeah, be aware of the humans, not the alligator. He's very dependable on what he's going to do.
Yeah, I have a question for you. I know we've got a great guest. We love having Reverend Doti Boon here. So, quick question before we bring her out, because I love all of your knowledge about the animal kingdom. So, I've mentioned to you before that there's this path that I walk on, and it's been here for, I've been walking for 40 years myself, but I typically see an egret. And this bird, it's absolutely stunning, and it's always by itself. It has very long legs. It's white, and it comes pretty much up to my hip. I am usually like maybe a foot or 2 feet away from it. So the reason I bring it up is it's always alone, and yet it looks so confident, and it's always curious. Its head's always turning around. And in some ways, I feel like I'm the egret, because I'm curious and I'm always alone. So I just wondered, are they loners, these birds, or it's just this?
No, actually, what you sound like, if I had to just throw a guess out there, is that he is protecting a mate. And we're coming into very soon breeding situations and nesting and that type of stuff. So if this is a male, which that's a longer conversation, but they're very calm. First of all, take the compliment that it is. If he's that confident when you walk by, whatever, how many feet, 10, 20, 30 feet, that means you're carrying yourself in a way that says, hey, just passing by, just going through. And they'll do that with an alligator. They'll do that with anybody, even that they think is going to eat them. But he stands tall to say, hey, I got this. I got her back. So if you have possibly a nesting female nearby, yeah, they'll just stand there. They'll just stand there and absorb the sun, hope a bug flies by. Otherwise, they got to go get one. But how neat that they're so calm and centered. I hope that for all of us. Wouldn't you like to just be that calm and centered every day? And so take that energy and share with them. I want to say take that energy from him, but I don't mean that literally where you'd kill him and the energy be gone. But it can be shared. That's what I love about nature, is because I go out there to get my peace back, to get over the bad days, get, the argument with the boss or whatever, your family, so I burnt the toast and I don't want to make any more, we've all done something like that. And you just go out, I go outside and I sit with my plants. I go walk in the garden, go for a walk in the hills. And then you just get that balance of, it's not that bad. We'll get through this. You take a deep breath and face whatever you're going to. And that's a great way for you to start the day, and everybody to start the day, is just getting that balance. Just think, I'm going to be an egret today. Because they can stand on one leg.
And those legs are so thin, supporting that whole big body there. So it's a beautiful, beautiful creature. So
Absolutely.
Thanks for answering my question. So Aminah, let's have you share with our audience a little bit about your background, because you're much more than a pet psychic. And I am excited to be with two psychics today. I have to say it's my favorite show. So I'm going to spotlight you and share a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. And thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, for giving us all this platform. People I know I did, have all kinds of opinions on what psychic and their woo-woo stuff, as they call it in the fun of my family. I have learned so much, and bringing you guests like Doti Boon and Corky Whitaker, which is her sidekick, and she's going to be joining us also on a regular basis. We are going to enlighten you on just maybe another way to think. And if you got from the first conversation, for me, I want you to coexist, but I'm going to help you understand what animals say or do or whatever they are. And that can be my experience with training. It can be my experience in a wildlife sanctuary. It can be my experience getting bit by a snake. Whatever that is, wherever you want to quantify it, and all the rest is God-given. I get asked that all the time. Did you study for this? I did, after I found out what to do with it. And that's why I'm bringing you a guest like Doti Boon, because I found her and the church she runs. And that is the place I always say, if you have a gift or you want one. You want to play tennis professionally, or just really good, or ballet, or ride a horse. Find somebody that you trust, and somebody that you can hear what they're saying, because people can throw information at you, but if you don't understand really what they're talking about, then they're not the right teacher for you. Dottie, Boon, and Corky were my teachers, and I want you to share with that. I hear what animals think. Another part of my gift is also hearing people and that have passed and have died. That's something I've heard forever, and it's interesting. I'm also an empath. So when I'm in public, I have to be really careful to not absorb everybody's feelings, especially if they're strong. Anger, happy, mad, sad, glass. Happy is not too bad, but it's not my feelings. So I have to know those things. And having a teacher like Dottie is a way to quantify and understand that I need to put up protections. This is not just go out there and wing it. It causes me a great deal of migraine sometimes. So these are the things that we talk about our stories and about how you can coexist. It's a really, really big deal for me to let the spiders live. And Dr. Jacalyn and I talk about it all the time. So thanks for coming, and put your questions in. I'd love to answer your questions.
Thank you so much. And you gave a brief intro to Reverend Dottie. Anything else you want to share before we bring her out?
Well, no, I mean, we're all so tied. The guests I have on my show, we're all very, very tied together professionally or heart. And you really put together, that's why this platform works, because we're all about heart. And what that means is that we work from the heart, that we work from the soul, that we want the world to be better. And we can help in our small little way, all of us together. And that also includes my guests and what you're doing. What you're doing is putting out there good. If anybody hasn't seen all the other things and all the other types of people you have, I'm very, very fortunate to have spent some time with them. Just recently, we had a big reunion thing, and it was so much fun just to go, I've heard them sing, I've heard them talk, I've heard them, and that, to get to know the real person. This is a wonderful channel for that, because it's positivity. It's hard conversations about great results. So that's what Dottie is going to do. Well, and I mean it. I won't say anything that I don't actually mean, but I honor you for giving me that platform to be everywhere. Anywhere you are, you have a computer link or a video link, you can go back on all of your shows. And I've so enjoyed some of them and laughed and danced, and, because you've got such a plethora of professionals. And I mean that in not just everybody's got a PhD or whatever. No, that they love what they do and they share it generously.
Yes. And just watching everyone on the team come together and support each other,
it was wonderful.
It's beautiful. All right. Without further ado, let's bring out Reverend Dottie Boon. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Welcome. It's nice to see you again.
Well, it's nice to see all of you. And Jacalyn, how's this weather been doing for you? Have you been surviving fine?
Well, I'm here in Florida. It's absolutely stunning. Although I spend almost all my time behind this green screen. I look outside, I go, oh, it's great. Okay, I'm going behind the green screen. So how is it out in California?
It's wonderful. It's a little bit cool. I say a little bit cool because, it's 65. And
at 67, we start talking hot.
Yeah. I have a son who lives in Virginia, and every time I say something, it's a little bit cool. He says, it's 32 here, Mom. That type of thing. And so, it's all relative. That's
my mom will go outside at 62 and she'll say it's freezing. Like, no, it's freezing.
Yeah.
Depends on where you are. Yes.
Yes.
Very true. So, Reverend Dottie, you are a regular guest. You're here. What is it? The second Friday of every month. But for people who don't know you, they haven't seen the show before, I'm going to spotlight you. And why don't you share a little bit about your background and all the wonderful positivity that you put out in the world through your various channels?
Well, my background is interesting in that I started channeling a spirit guide when I was 5 years old, and his name is Mahalaleel, and I call him Ma. And I say, okay, Ma says, or Ma did this, or Ma did that, and so I'm constantly referring to my guide because I have a voice in my head. And I believe that everybody has a voice in their head, but quite often they think it's just them. And meaning, if you're female and you have a female voice talking to you, you think, oh, that's just me. For me, I'm lucky in that Ma happens to be male. And so when he talks to me, I know the difference between my internal voice and a spirit guide that's talking to me. So that's who I go to when I'm doing a reading. When somebody calls and says, Dottie, I'd like to have a reading with you, I just say, okay, Ma, we're going to be on for a reading at 2:00. And sure enough, he shows up, and it's great. And he also shows up sometimes unannounced. I'll be doing something, and all of a sudden he starts talking to me about, I wouldn't pull out right now. And sure enough, there goes a car right in front of me. Or he'll say, Dottie, I don't think that headache is quite just a headache. Maybe you better go in and find out what's going on. So I utilize Ma for all sorts of different things, and he's there. Now, he's not good at computers. Ma passed away in 1825. And so every time I say something about computers, he kind of goes, like, no. I mean, he barely understands telephones. So, but as far as people, his feeling is that people haven't changed that much. People are still doing the same things that they did when he was alive. And so he's got a good handle on relationships. So that's what a lot of my conversations with people are about, is their relationships. I just got off the phone doing a reading with a woman who was talking about 11-year-old stepson, and what the 11-year-old stepson was doing was just irritating the heck out of you. And I said, of course, he wants to get your attention. There's 3 little girls in the family, and you're not giving him any attention. And that attention to a male is a little bit different than it is to a female. And she goes, oh, I hadn't thought of that. He wants attention. And that was Ma speaking. And so I always get that male perspective about what little boys think that I wouldn't necessarily. And it was great because I had 2 boys. I say little boys, they're in their 50s now. But raising children, I've had 8 foster kids also. Raising children has been a lot easier having somebody with all the years of wisdom that Ma has. So that's where I work from, is listening to a disembodied spirit with a lot of knowledge and a lot of energy. And I enjoy it. When he first started talking to me, I was very young, and as I grow older, he isn't aging, which is interesting. He's just the same being that I've been channeling all these years.
That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. And we have so much blessings in. I know when I was told to go public, I before I had met Dottie and come back to the Bay Area, everybody told me about a guide. You can read books about, how, I went to the library and read up on how do you do this? And I'm thinking, so do you go to the store for guides? Do you go? And I know everybody's thinking this, Dottie, as you talk. I can hear you guys all out there thinking this. Is like, wait a minute, she said this great guide, and I have Gabriel, and I have this great guide. And how does this happen? And Dottie's better qualified. I know how it happened to me and that type of stuff. But for me, I knew that he was different. I knew that I wasn't alone. And I knew, of course, they're not in the shower. They're not, there's no invasion of your space. There is pure love and pure support, and hang in there and let them. I don't know about yours with Ma, Dottie. We've never talked about it, but I know the way I learn is the best way to teach anybody is how they learn, is to struggle a little. And Gabriel lets me do that and struggle a little and says, okay, now let's go to the next step. But you get other psychics like Dottie, who's been there a long time, and I would walk up to her and go, what the heck is going on? Why do I know this? Why am I doing this? What, all that kind of stuff, because I didn't know that you have to put protections up. You have to put barriers and protections on yourself, because I was getting slaughtered when I would go in public. And all of a sudden somebody had a lot of energy, or they had something, and they're like, somebody would come up and say, oh my God, you have to tell them Uncle Bob is going to die. And I'm like, I don't know them. Why would I go up and tell them that? Well, this strange woman's going to say, by the way, your mate you're going to marry is over there 2 steps. No, we don't cost people. And Doti, what I would love to hear you repeat, like maybe every show, but maybe not, is the price thing. Remember we talked about that some lady was going to pay, what, $50,000 to get a ray of spirit or something? These are really salient points that people ask us all the time. But Doti, I loved your guidance. Pick any of that and elaborate on, please.
Well, I think there's a lot of scammers out there, and I don't like to talk badly about any people who are doing psychic readings, but there are people who are very, very negative using it as a scam, because
Right.
people don't understand about how you can have a guide, what it means, and they hear somebody says, oh, so-and-so is an excellent guide for you, meaning somebody that's here on the plane. And they say, well, Joe Blow over there, he can foretell the future, and it's only going to cost you such and such. And you go see Joe Blow, and they says, well, if you really want to get wealthy, or you really want to get rid of this, it's only going to cost you, $25,000 or whatever. And they go, oh, okay, because this is a, they just get excited. Yeah, but this is a good person. They're going to do this for me. Stop and say, this is a really good tip. If you're not sure about someone you're going to, stop and say, can you help me access my guide? Anyone who is in this as a profession is out to help people, not out there trying to make a lot of money. So if you're really interested in getting in touch with your guide and have the tools to help yourself, anybody who is very valid is going to do that, is going to either have classes or books or energy that they can give you, and how you can improve your psychic abilities. We were not born without psychic abilities. Everybody has a spirit guide. There's always things that are out there, but we're not taught because our parents didn't know how to teach it, or our grandparents didn't know how to teach it. And so consequently, we feel kind of at loss, and we're always looking over there for the great guru to tell us how to live our life, instead of being aware that if we go inside, and that's where meditation comes in, that's where prayer comes in, where all of these abilities that you have within you to be able to make it through your life with the help of a spirit, help of God, help of Muhammad, help of any great teacher that might have transferred into spirit. They're there to help us. So you don't, if you're going to go spending thousands of dollars for somebody to help you, stop and ask before, could you help me do this? I want to open up my spiritual awareness.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great perspective, and a way to really see if that person is really authentic.
Right.
Absolutely. And motivation has got to play a part in this. And Dr. Jacalyn, like you're a coach, and probably as many coaches as Doti and I and all of us put together. They're hundreds, and they all have different specialties, but they all have different personalities. I can't be coached by everybody. You can't coach everybody. And Doti's not the right psychic for everybody. That's just not how it works. We have our niches, and we believe that those are the clients that are going to find us, and that type of stuff. And those are the ones that you want to work with as a coach, because you're able to help them the most, because they can hear you.
Yeah, and for me, my spirit guide always talks about love. I was doing predictions for 2022 in an organization, and it was almost every prediction said, when you love yourself, when you love those around you, when you love your country, when you love, in other words, when you accept but unconditionally love, you find that things become so much easier. Speaking about the reading I just did, and this woman says, well, what do I do with my sister? She's and my guide says, every time she says something you don't agree with, just say, that's interesting.
That's
And
great.
she said, is that simple? I said, exactly. You are not going to change her mind by arguing with her. But if
Right.
you say, that's interesting, then it says, I'm listening. And that's what people want. They want to be listened to. They want to be loved. They want to be appreciated. And so many times when somebody's coming up and wants to argue with you about something, really what it's saying is, I want to communicate, but I don't know how.
Right.
So if
It's
nothing
not
else
about
today, if nothing else today, take away from me is, that's interesting.
We're going to have a little tape across the bottom of each one of our shows with you. Because remember, she's here every first Friday, second Friday of the month. And so we're going to cover these types of things. And you guys can post your questions and you guys can let us know. All of us have emails. You can always post ahead and say, hey, on your show, would you consider, having this or this or this conversation? And we'd be more than glad, because I know I get requests of people that I talk to during the week. And they're like, gosh, I would really love to hear if Dottie could talk about this or talk about that. And a lot of it, I know Dottie and I go through, and Jacalyn, I will bet anything that you do the same thing. We make business decisions and coming on a show decisions or whatever actions on the basis of not facts necessarily, but this is the right thing. I've had to defend myself with family members, and I'll say, why are you doing that? I don't know, because it's the right thing for me. I have signed over property. Big things. Really big things. And I did this kind of stuff, and everybody said, this doesn't make any sense. I know, but I trust. I trust. I didn't know about Gabriel at the time. I didn't know. I just knew that I had a life, that I knew I'd made other decisions, that I just trusted the process or the thing I was doing, or if I'm going to step off the curb, it's all going to be fine. Even if the car hits me, then that must have been something I was supposed to do or supposed to be a part of. I want to live in the positive. It does help pain. It does help injuries. It does help a bad day. It's not easy every day. We're not saying that we're happy every day. That's just not realistic. But there's a way to find it when you pick you as part of your greatest advice.
Definitely. Definitely. Good point. We have a comment, and then we're going to take a quick break. Our comment, I think, is from a new follower, Divine Moon Healer. Hello, nice to have you here. Send me friends request for your reading. I'm not sure.
So you have to pick Dottie or Aminah. But either one, we can get you the contact for either of us.
Right. Fantastic. Thank you again for watching. All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to hear, since Dottie mentioned about listening, I have a whole listening series called The Power of Listening. We're going to take a look at that, and then we'll be right back after this.
it's hard to channel through a garbled brain. And so that's about the only time I'd ever say no. I have people call me all times of day and night. And I had somebody call me yesterday morning at 4:30 in the morning. And you're going to hear me say, "Hi, this is Doti. How can I help you?" And usually it's just, "Well, thank you so much for calling, but could you call back about 10 o'clock?" And the person calling was calling from way back, like New Zealand, different time zones, different day even. And they, "Oh, okay. And what time is it there?" And I'll call back. So I make an appointment. And but for me, if somebody reaches out, there is a need. Some people are just curious. They want to know, what are you going to say? Are you going to give me ideas about what I should do to change my life? Are you going to talk to me about work? Are you going to talk to me about love? But it's almost like Ma knows what they need by how we start out. It surprises me that if I start out with a reading, that they never start out the same. Ma starts talking about something that I had one that is a person I had just talked to. Her grandfather had died yesterday, and I said, "You didn't like your grandfather. Why are you in such a sad space about your grandfather's death?" And she said, "Well, I should be." And I said, "No, you might want to show respect, but you're glad to get rid of him, aren't you?" And she goes, "Oh, yeah, but I can't tell anybody that." Well, that's true. You can't. You can't go, "Yippee, grandma's dead." It doesn't work in a family situation. But for her, she was trying to be artificial. She was trying to fake this sadness because Grandpa died. Well, Grandpa was 94 and had been very sick, and wasn't really there for her, and hadn't been. And she said, "You mean I can just say, okay, Grandpa died, and that's it?" I said, "Yeah. Why do you have to elaborate and tell us the story? Either, oh, he wasn't any good, I don't like him, he da 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 da." You don't need to tell the story. You just release it with him. And people don't realize you don't need to hold on to people who've moved on. You let them go with their story. And that helps so many people when you just say, they've passed away. Now let their story go with them. And that's the type of thing when I'm doing readings is Ma's always talking about how you can get in touch with your best and highest good. And your best and highest good is about loving and being honest about your feelings and not hurting somebody else, but just being honest about who you are. Someone once said, "Doti, you are so transparent. I just know what you're thinking." I said, "Isn't it great?" That's right up there with, "Isn't it interesting?" What you say when somebody says something and you go, "Yeah, isn't that great?" And that joy when Aminah was talking about her guide, doesn't see you when you're in the shower or whatever. Ma said, I get up in the morning, I take my shower, I stand in front of my mirror, and Ma says, "Oh, you're a beautiful woman." And I know, Ma, and off I go, you have somebody standing naked in a mirror looking at themselves, because my guide says you need to every day tell yourself how wonderful you are.
Absolutely.
And it's hard to tell yourself how wonderful you are if you're not looking at yourself. And so that's what you get, those kinds of like pithy statements from people who have been off this plane for years. Now, another thing that's interesting about Ma is you hear people say, well, in the universe, and Ma has always been saying in the multiverses. Mm-hmm. And now they're starting to astrologically talk about multiverse. We never had heard that. And Ma's been saying that to me for the last 50 years. Oh, yeah, in the multiverse that we do. And it's the same thing, the way he gives me information about death. I said, "Oh, no, my aunt's going to die." And Ma says, "Oh, good. I really like her spirit. I'm excited." So it's a different way of looking at life and death and movement. This is just a big story. This is merely a chapter right now. and you're going to go on to more chapters. And all of those chapters add up to who you are. And some of your chapters might have been you were an assassin, you were a priest, you were it could have been anything. You were on the prairie, you were fighting a war. I love the movie Ghosts, the series Ghosts that they have out now, and they've got all these characters that have died in the same place, but they're coming from different periods of time, and it's kind of like what Ma talks about. That's all one story, and those are all chapters, and that's what our life's about. So when you say, "I want to go get some information from a psychic," realize that you can ask just about anything except what number is going to win for the lottery. Okay.
Well, you can ask, and we can
right.
say maybe 1 through 300. Pick one.
The funny thing is, I love to play roulette. Okay, I just think that's such a fun game, and Ma is totally not there. They put the ball in and they spin it, and I said, "Ma, what number is going to come up?" Nothing. And the minute the ball stops, and he goes, "Uh-huh." And I start to walk away. He says, 32 red. And I turn around, and sure enough, the ball's just dropping into 32 red. He wants to show me he can do it, but not for financial gain for me.
He's not a capitalist.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, he says, in life, you need to achieve what you want. I'm not going to give you monetary gain.
Yeah.
And so, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. Thank you. But he gives me gain in every other aspect of my life, dealing with people, dealing with just life situations. And that's even more valuable than winning the lottery. And some people might not think so, but Ma says it is. So I listened to him about that. So there's so many interesting things that psychics can do for you. So just think about, if you had some questions that you were going to ask a psychic, what would they be? And they're usually going to be about yourself, your family, your country. There's so many different things. And Ma is not into you are always right, but he's not going to make you wrong. He's going to show you what you can change. And I think that's very good information. The other thing is, somebody said, well, what do you think about the election? And Ma says, I don't think about your elections. It's like, oh, thank you, Ma. In other words, he doesn't see that as a big contribution to your life. So it's like, and then every once in a while, he'll turn it around and give me some pithy advice about something that I didn't even know he knew about. And so it's very interesting when you're dealing in this realm of the information you get. Sometimes Mom will tell me of somebody's past life. And the next time, the next client will say, well, what do you know about my past life? And Ma says, wasn't that interesting?
The dime tour of your mind. And
time to make some changes.
Because you're really going for the rock star stuff. Well, you probably get this. I have family and friends, and we're constantly, everybody's met with 5,000 decisions, from what you're going to wear to where you're going to go and what you're going to buy, whatever. I'll step out the door. And once in a while, I'll have a friend or family go and say, hey, should I go to that blah, blah, blah? Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? Like, I don't know. Ask, your guy. No, what do you think this is? Put the quarter in, pull the lever, we'll get a card out. I said, no, we don't do silly stuff. It's like asking me, should I eat this chocolate? Live dangerously. Try it. I don't know. It's not like the 411. And I've had people, close family, call and say, well, what about this? You have to make a decision eventually on your own and take the risk. Mm-hmm. Boy, go to the grocery store or not.
That's a good point, Aminah. Because, something that I found is, let's say therapy, for example, people become dependent on a therapist, right? They feel like they can't make any decisions. And when something happens, it's like, I have to call them in the middle of the night because this is a crisis. Right. No, at some point you have to learn how to make decisions, and you have to trust your own instinct, but you have work to do to get there.
Right.
And go with what the results are. They're not, all your decisions are not good or bad. The bad ones might move you faster, farther, and you learn and your compassion grows. You don't know. I have had to live through, as all of us have, deaths that you just go, how do I move forward from this? My best friend's mother dying. She was my mother, and all of a sudden died in a plane crash, and her husband was an Air Force pilot. So it's not like, so it was their time, but I learned so much about compassion, learning. Their family was broken up, and just so much. And I was 11, and it changed my life completely. But luckily, I became more compassionate, not less. I didn't become jaded because I made a choice. And this is what Doti's talking about. You're going to be given paths. You still get to choose. None of our guides are saying, you have to buy bubble gum today and you must chew it for 10 hours. That's just the way it goes. Something you think is ridiculous. No, you have free will. We can make recommendations. The guides can tell you this is a path that looks great. You still have the choice to open that door, go down that street, or get in the car. You
Right.
still do.
Right. Good points. Well, it's hard to believe we're at the end of the show. Again, it just flies by. Reverend Doti, what is the best way for people to reach you? I've got your email. I've got your phone number. Who would you like to contact you?
Well, anybody can contact me. It depends on what you're looking for, what kind of help you want. And when I say help, I think everybody that goes to a psychic or goes to a counselor is saying, I need some help to handle what's going on. So anyone who's going through a crisis or anyone who just wants information about who they are can call me and say, Doti, I want to find out if I'm on the right path. I have so many people call and say, I want to know if I'm going to meet somebody new in my life. I want to be married. I want to have children. I had a woman just recently call me and ask me if she should have a tubal ligation because she doesn't want to have any more children. Now, that's an interesting thing to ask. Yet the answer that she got from mom was incredibly good. So you never know what questions people have that are weighing on their mind. And that's a good time to call a psychic and see what they have to say.
And how much should it cost, Doti? Remember this question we got a couple months ago? Come on, how much should it cost?
No, for me, my fee is $75 a half an hour or $125 for an hour. And if somebody says that's way too much, could I possibly have one question? I'll say, you can have one question. I'm not here to bankrupt you or anything. Let's just see what Ma has to say. And I will right now say, if you have one question and it's something that I could answer in 10 minutes, it'll be free. Call me. It's a good way to find out what it's like to have somebody do a psychic answer of a question. So one question's absolutely free when you call my number. And that's the way you can get in touch with Mom and my energy.
And what's your number?
What?
What's your phone number?
408-220-5780.
Thank you.
In San Jose, California.
Exactly. And it's safe, SAFEDOTI, Doti, at AOL.com. So those are for all everybody in audio.
I was going to say, how about how I remembered both of those? Ta-da! Phone number and email address. Yay! Yay!
You have a little banner. I totally cheated. All that kind of stuff. But the reason I asked this question, just to end our time, is what Doti says is so important. Is we were talking about that somebody was charging like $50,000 to get some kind of answer, and so run away. Find somebody who is doing it out of compassion
and it's
out
not
of
about the money. Yeah, exactly.
It's not about the money. We do have to make a living. I get it, but we don't need $50,000 to tell you one answer. And Dr. Jacalyn knows this. We've given a lot of free advice away. It's where our heart is, and what Doti's talking about is we want to help. We do have to make a living and pay our costs, but we're not needing $50,000 to say yes or no.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. We all do things for free out of our heart, but we do have bills to pay. So there's some things we,
Right.
I mean, I've got my, I have to pay for hats.
Right. The hats are important. Exactly. Exactly.
God forbid you wear the same style every single day.
Aminah,
No.
what's the best way for people to reach you?
bridgingworld.us. And yes, I'm an empath. I don't need you to be anywhere near me, either Dottie or I. We can talk to you online, and a phone call is just as easy to help you with any of your pets and or issues that you're having around them. Love to help. bridgingworld.us.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry. How did I end up here? Who's running this show?
It's your show. That's how you ended up here.
Who's running this show?
What do you do? We'll interview you next.
Yeah, I know the answer to that, Jacalyn.
Yeah, I'm running the show. I hit the wrong button. Sorry about that. All right, folks.
Okay. Humanity. Oh my gosh.
We're closing out for today, and it's been a fantastic week with our launch. I'm just so excited about our team of co-hosts, our team of talking heads who are experts in their field, and our team of elevated listeners, as well as all of our fabulous guests, including Reverend Doti and also Corky. Thank you so much for being here, Corky, behind the scenes all the time there. Appreciate you. All right, folks, we'll see you again next week. Our show is the same time every week. It is 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and also 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. I think I got the main times. All right.
Wow.
See you again later. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.